Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and why Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition is legit stomping your favorite Indy TTRPG into the ground, okay? So here's the thing, right? D&D wins, and man, does it win big. I think the real shape of the tabletop role-playing game industry is there is Dungeons & Dragons, and there is every other tabletop role-playing game that exists. And Dungeons & Dragons is taking 51 to 65% of the market, and all other tabletop role-playing games are taking the rest. Now, we're not the only industry like this. Before the pandemic hit, Disney was like 70% of the movie market. It was astounding, right? Like, it was like Disney did more business in the movies than like literally all other companies combined. It was absolutely incredible, right? So we're not the only industry that has this gigantic mega product, right? But here's what I want to talk about today, right? Everybody out there, like, you know, OSC is like, oh, why don't you just play OSC and forget your Dungeons and Dragons game? Come on over and play our old rehash with terrible black and white art. And I don't understand why we don't just have millions of players, right? Well, here's why your favorite indie game does not have millions of players. It's not doing what Dungeons & Dragons is doing. Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition has innovated in a way that it has never been seen in any other tabletop role-playing game ever. And I'm going to talk about it today. Excuse me. I'm going to talk about it today because I don't hear many people talking about it. I don't think, D&D 5e has achieved something that is truly magnificent, and I do not hear people giving it its props. I don't, right? So let's talk about it. Where and how should it get its props? All right, here you go. Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition is unlike any tabletop role-playing game in history in that it is truly the most responsive tabletop role-playing game ever created, okay? So basically, the Dungeons & Dragons surveys are done at a level no tabletop role-playing game company in the world even has the funds to do, right? So D&D sits like a little cherished cherub on the shoulder of Hasbro. It's fed, and what would happen if every single Dungeons & Dragons product tanked and sold 1/10 of its normal sales for a year? Nothing would happen because Hasbro is fine and Hasbro can absorb the losses, right? And frankly, it really doesn't matter if D&D's product line goes up or down for even a year and a half, even up to 2 years, because Hasbro is so large it can ride the losses, right? But Hasbro has put that money behind Dungeons & Dragons, and their surveys are very, very extensive. They have people reading those surveys and then putting the information back into the game at a level no other tabletop role-playing game company even has the money to attempt, right? Then there's Unearthed Arcana. Unearthed Arcana is worked on and released, and then there is a feedback loop for Unearthed Arcana that has absolutely never been even remotely equaled in any other tabletop role-playing game. People don't talk about this. They're like, oh, hey, if you don't like D&D, just scooch over to this other game. But what they're pretending is Dungeons & Dragons isn't just being written, right? It's written. It's shown for free to millions of players. They are all given a chance to say, do not want, or give me now, right? And that's exactly what happens. The material that shows up in hardback books is refined and has gone through a permissioning, right, through the players that has never, ever, ever been even remotely paralleled in any tabletop role-playing game. None. Not even close. The closest we've ever seen to this was Paizo doing their second edition. Paizo doing that with their second edition, and that turned into Tears and Flames, with a lot of players saying that they felt their advice was ignored, right? And in addition to that, Pathfinder 2e turned into Tears and Flames. I know probably 30 Pathfinder players. I don't know a single Pathfinder player who said who said anything nice about Pathfinder 2e. Every single player I know and Dungeon Master said we are staying on 1e. We are not picking this trash up. Every single one, right? So that's the issue. Is it really is incredible. Like, I just can't tell you how strong this is, right? So the reality is, Dungeons & Dragons has done something that's truly, truly just, it's hard to put in perspective the feedback loop. The other thing is, people are like, why do people keep buying these Dungeons & Dragons books? Well, because unlike any other books on the market, they're permissioned. They're permissioned by the player base. D&D no longer just puts books out that some writer wrote and that nobody had feedback on. It's just not the way it works. There's tons of content in every single book that has gone through a permissioning that is unparalleled in any other tabletop role-playing game in the history of the game. D&D iterates and innovates at a way your games simply don't, because it doesn't have the money. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.